Mr. Transformers 96 here on the video, and I'm going to talk about some newly shown things that I would like to be shown at this year's San Diego Comic-Con 2019. So I'm doing kind of a series of videos where I'm talking about a different toy company and what I would like to be seen from them at San Diego Comic-Con for this year. So in this video I'm going to be doing Hot Toys, but I will be doing videos for Sideshow, Marvel Legends, Transformers, the studio series, and probably a few more, but I'll be at least doing those four. So this is going to be what I'm hoping is going to be shown at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, one of these figures I think could be shown before Comic-Con. I'm not sure. Possibly if one or maybe even two of these get shown before Comic-Con, which I doubt. I'll do like an update for this. But at the moment, there was one figure that I was like 100% hoping that is shown at Comic-Con, but I wasn't 100% sure of what other ones I was going to put on this list before I started putting this together. But as I started putting this together, it came very naturally which other ones I'd like to see. And I'm actually like, well, there are actually a decent amount of characters or figures that I'm really hoping are shown at Comic-Con that I'd be pretty disappointed if they're not, to be honest. But yeah, so this is going to be a top 3 video. All of these are going to be top 3s. So yeah. And this is a very diverse line too. You have a very kind of different styles of characters. There's some heroes, there's some villains, there's a couple different franchises. It's an interesting list. I wouldn't have thought about it. It's not mind-blowing, but it's a little more interesting than I would have expected. But yeah, let's get into it with my number 3 choice. And this one's definitely the least likely for sure, and it probably won't have as big of an audience as the first two for sure. But for me, I would certainly love to see some Aladdin live action figures. I love Aladdin, just the original Aladdin. I'm a huge fan of, one of my favorite Disney movies, and I'm actually very happy with the live action adaptation of it. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it 5 times. And I would love a few figures from it. Now, what's funny is the main character I wouldn't really buy a Hot Toys of, to be honest. Aladdin himself, I liked him in the movie, but I don't need a Hot Toys of him. But the 2 characters that I would love a Hot Toys of would be the princess and the villain, so Jafar and Jasmine. Those 2 would be the ones that I'm really would love to get as a figure. I'm a huge Disney villain fan, always have been ever since I was a little kid, and Jafar is one of my favorites, and I did like the live action version of this Jafar, other than the fact that he didn't turn into the serpent, which is disappointing. But other than that, I actually really like Jafar and what they added to his character. And he's got such a flashy costume to him, and with the scepter, he would make for a great figure. I think it would be really cool. If they did him, I would hope that they do him in his sorcerer outfit, which is the one that's seen here in these 2 shots. And they could do the staff with like the light up eyes. That would be super cool. So that would be awesome. Again, I don't think that they will do these. There is like a precedent for it in the past, though. They have made live action Disney film figures before. They've done Maleficent, Belle, and Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh was a very unsuccessful movie too, and they still did that one. And then this movie's outperforming Maleficent. It's almost $100 million over Maleficent at this point. It's not doing as well as Beauty and the Beast, because that was a huge success, but the movie is very much overperforming what it was expected to do. So even though there's been no announcement of them having the license for this film, I would hope that maybe they'll get it, or at least they got it once they saw that the movie was doing well, and we'll maybe get a tease for it or something at this year's Comic-Con, because again, I would love a Jafar or a Jasmine. With Jasmine, I would definitely love her in the blue costume. I think that's the only kind of costume they could do for her. She wears so many in the movie, but that's of course her classic look. So I would love that. Now, my number 2 choice is going to have to be from Avengers Endgame, and it is Thor. I'm really liking this new kind of fat-looking Thor design. I really like his costume and his look in this new film a lot, and it was the figure that I wanted to see the most from Endgame after I saw the movie be made, and it's not being made, and like no company's making it. Literally, Iron Studios is like the only company making figures on this version of Thor. I know this version of Thor is a little divisive. Some people really like the character and the look, and some people don't. Personally, I'm in the camp that really does, though, and I think it would be great to get a new Hot Toys figure of him. I would have never guessed that I'd want another Hot Toys Thor, because I have 2 right now, and I'm pretty happy happy with them. But this is definitely a look that I would have to get if Hot Toys made it. It would be really cool, and it would be something a little bit more unique. Obviously, the head sculpt it looks very intricate. It would be really cool if they did some rooted hair. Personally, I actually prefer the just rubber plastic hair. However, I know a lot of people have been clamoring for a rooted hair Thor, and he's got so much hair that this is the time to do it if they ever were. So it would be really neat if they did it, and it would be another way to make the figure different than the other Thor figures that they've done, even though his look is very different than usual anyway. But he would be a great figure. I really don't know if Hot Toys is going to make him. I think it's really 50-50. I could see them just not making him, because he's obviously a character that they kept secret, so Hot Toys might have not seen this version of Thor until very close to the movie's release, so, you know, it's not like they've had so many months to prepare for it. But even, you know, they've got so many figures to do from the movie that I could see them just skipping this Thor. However, I'm really hoping that they don't, and it would definitely be a figure that I'd have to get. And then my number one choice is definitely going to be Mysterio from Far From Home. This is the one figure that I think might be shown before Comic-Con, just because the movie comes out before Comic-Con, and they're showing a lot of figures from it now. But I could see them holding off. Typically with villains, even if their movie comes out before Comic-Con, they'll usually get shown at Comic-Con, and then you just have to cross your fingers if they'll ever be actually made. And this is one that I'm definitely crossing my fingers will be made. Definitely a big fan of this look for Mysterio. Mysterio is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I'm really excited for him in the film. And it looks like he has one of the biggest roles that a Marvel villain has ever had in an MCU movie. Other than Thanos, this looks like he's got such a big role in this movie, because obviously they're selling him like a hero for a lot of the movie at least. So I think that there's a very good chance that Hot Toys will make it. To be honest, I'm extremely confident that the Hot Toys will make a Mysterio, and I'm pretty confident that they'll put it on pre-order too. But I'm just waiting to see, and my only question about the figure is whether they do just the dome or a Jake Gyllenhaal head sculpt with it. I'd be okay if it's just the dome, but I'm really hoping for a Jake Gyllenhaal head sculpt. But yeah, there's my choices for the figures that I'd like to be shown at this year's Comic-Con from Hot Toys, with my number one choice being Mysterio, number two being the Endgame, more Viking-looking Thor character, as well as number three, just kind of the Aladdin license in general, but particularly Jafar and Jasmine being made. So yeah, those are my hopes that will be made for this year's San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Let me know what you guys think of my choices. I'd also love to hear your guys' choices as well, and thanks so much for watching.